wish I could
Trial
colonize.
version.
Now, is there anybody amongst you who does not know the meaning of
Trial version.
colonization till now? Please feel free to ask.
Trial version.
Silence is
Trial
golden.
version.
So I presume everybody knows the meaning of colonize. Fine, then let me proceed.
Trial
Had
version.
I the plantation of this isle, my lord, Antonio, being Antonio, he cannot see
Trial
anything in a
version.
positive sense, he says. He would sow it with nettle seeds.
Trial version.
Underline nettle seeds and write down.
Trial version. Trial
He
version.
would sow it with stinging plants.
Trial version.
Sebastian says,
Trial version.
or docks or mallows. Now underline docks and mallows together
Trial
and
version.
write down.
Trial version. Trial version. Trial version.
I would want to ask you something. Look
Trial
at the
version.
chat box. Let's see how fast and how quickly you are able to grasp things. First,
Trial
your
version.
hint is stinging plants. Antonio says he would plant
Trial version.
stinging plants. Sebastian says he would plant common wayside
Trial
plants with
version.
thorns. Does it ring a
Trial
bell?
version. Trial version.
Go on, Miss Chopra.
Trial version.
Um, it reminds me of something
Trial version.
that Shylock had said once, if I remember correctly.
Trial version.
No, don't go to Shylock here. Simply look at
Trial
the hint
version.
stinging thorn. What happens with a thorn?
Trial
What do you do
version.
to somebody? Suppose I
Pricks,
want to
prick, it
hurt you.
pricks us.
If I want to hurt you,
Trial
I can
version.
prick you with the thorn, I can sting you with the thorn. So, what were these two men doing
Trial
to
version.
Gonzalo constantly?
They were pricking him. They were hurting him.
Absolutely,
Trial version.
absolutely. So, they were pricking him right down with,
Trial version.
they were pricking him with barbed words.
Trial version.
Barbed means thorny. They were pricking him with barbed
Trial
words.
version.
So, you know what you are. You see the world
Trial
like
version.
you. If you are good at heart, whatever you would want to
Trial
say
version.
would be good. If you are an extremely negative person, I said on the other day
Trial
also, I gave
version.
the example. A positive person would say the glass is half full, but a negative
Trial
person
version.
would say the glass is always half empty. In a similar fashion, Sebastian and Antonio
Trial
wanted
version.
him to plant the island with stinging barbed plants because that is
Trial
what they were
version.
giving to him. They could not think of anything nice. They never said plant it with rose,
Trial
plant it with
version.
jasmine, plant it with beautiful coconut. Nothing nice about them. Okay, Gonzalo.
Trial version.
And were the king on it? If I were the king on it, what would I
Trial
do?
version.
I don't know what I would have done. Sebastian says, escape being
Trial
drunk
version.
for want of wine. Underline the line and
Trial
write down.
version.
You will have to, you will have
Trial
to,
version.
I'm giving this word here. Hopefully, some of you know, maybe many of you won't know.
Trial version.
You will have to abstain from drinking
Trial
wine
version.
due to its absence on the island. You will have to
Trial version.
abstain. Abstain means stop yourself, prevent
So,
yourself.
Trial
You will
version.
have to abstain from drinking wine for absence of wine on the island.
Trial version.
Look at the line and I'll come back to it again. Finish writing
Trial
first, then
version.
I'll come back. Because now whatever I'm going to start is something very, very important called Gonzalo's Commonwealth. I'll explain that.
Trial
First of
version.
all, what had Gonzalo said? If I were the king of the island, what could I have done?
Trial
There
version.
could have been thousand things if you are a king of an island, they could have said. But look at Antonio's mindset.
Trial version.
Look at Antonio's mentality. Only one thing comes to him. He says, if you are a
Trial
king, you
version.
can prevent yourself from drinking wine because there won't be any wine on the island.
Trial version.
So, that is their basic nature. They cannot think of anything better than that.
Trial version.
And another thing here comes to the light. How is Antonio as a Duke of Milan?
Trial version.
How is Antonio as a Duke of
Trial
Milan
version.
after usurping Prospero? Is he a good Duke? We have our
Trial
doubts.
version.
We have our doubts. Somebody who
Trial
says that,
version.
the only thing you can do if you were the king is you can prevent yourself from drinking
Trial
wine because
version.
there is no wine. He can't think of anything beyond drinking. Riya Brishti?
Trial version.
Ma'am, Sebastian said this line.
Okay, Sebastian said this or
Trial
Antonio,
version.
whoever said this, in fact, also, even if Sebastian says this, he's the brother of a
Trial
king.
version.
He should be knowing about royal duties.
Trial
He
version.
also should be knowing about the royal duties, but for them, what is actually a king
Trial
supposed to
version.
be doing? A king is supposed to be only kind of, sitting and drinking and indulging in all
Trial
the
version.
luxuries of life. Nothing beyond that. There's a word.
Trial version.
You can, if you want to, take it down.
Trial version.
According to even, Antonio, according to Sebastian, a king
Trial
is
version.
supposed to lead a licentious life.
Trial
Licentious
version.
life means drinking, making merry all the time,
Trial
and
version.
ignoring the responsibilities and the duties of a king. Now,
Trial
Gonzalo,
version.
on top of the speech of Gonzalo, before we start, please write down
Trial
Gonzalo's
version.
Commonwealth.
Trial
Now,
version.
Commonwealth is a term of economics as
Trial
well as in
version.
political science. What is the meaning of the term Commonwealth? Can anybody
Trial
tell me?
version.
What does it imply? The
Trial
term
version.
itself, is self-explanatory.
Trial version.
Actually,
Trial version.
ma'am,
Go on.
Trial
Public
version.
welfare, yes. We have a pol science student here. How can I forget? Anubhav, could you
Trial
explain a little
version.
more on that?
Trial version.
Any of the pol
Trial
science
version.
students, can you explain a little on that? What is a Commonwealth state?
Trial version.
Anubhav or Saina or Shreya, anyone?
Trial version. Trial version.
Why is there a silence? Have all
Trial
three of you
version.
lost your voice and your mic?
Trial version.
Anubhav?
Trial version.
Anyone else?
Trial version.
A state where every citizen is looked after by the government. Okay. Yes. A
Trial
commonwealth
version.
is where the government is actually for the people. A kind of a democratic setup, but it is more based on the
Trial version.
socialistic setup, where everyone has a kind of an equal distribution of wealth. That is socialism, the concept of a socialism.
Trial
But
version.
a commonwealth setup is actually something very, very, what should I say? It is good to talk about. It is impossible
Trial
to
version.
execute. It is impossible to execute in proper real life. That is a commonwealth where every
Trial version.
individual citizen is looked after by the government, where government pays for all their
Trial
school
version.
education, higher education, later in life, medication, everything. That is a kind of
Trial
a,
version.
yes, it exists only in words. It is kind of, good to hear theoretically. Practically, it's
Trial
impossible.
version.
So one thing I want to tell you before we begin, this concept of commonwealth which Gonzalo is going to
Trial version.
write down this line. He is going
Trial
to
version.
expostulate on. This is a kind of a system. This is kind of, you write down, it is a kind of a governance.
Trial version.
It is a kind of a, write this word. It is a utopian
Trial
governance.
Trial
It is
version.
an idyllic state. What is a utopia?
Ma'am, that
Trial
everything
version.
is perfect.
Correct. Where everything is perfect. That is idyllic. Perfect. So he is
Trial version.
envisioning. You can use those words. He envisions a state on the island where everything
version.
will be picture perfect. You know, why does he say that? It brings out his basic innate
Trial
goodness. Gonzalo is the only character, remember, in the entire Tempest who is
Trial
expressed
version.
and portrayed as an out and out good man who never has anything wrong to say or bad
Trial
to say
version.
about anyone. Even Miranda once said something about Caliban, I do not like him. Even
Trial
she said
version.
that once, I do not like the look of him. But Gonzalo is an out and out good character. Let's begin on that note.
Trial version.
In the Commonwealth, I would by contraries execute all things.
Trial version.
Please underline, I would by contraries execute all things and write it down. Start writing.
Trial version.
I would rule my kingdom. I would rule my kingdom
Trial version.
by principles. I would rule my kingdom by,
Trial
this is
version.
the spelling, by principles opposed to the established customs and institutions. I would rule by the principles opposed to
Trial version.
the established customs and institutions.
Trial version.
Have you understood the line? Opposed to, that
Trial
means
version.
whatever is the conventional method of ruling, I am going
Trial
to,
version.
you must be knowing this word, I will
version.
negate that. I am going to negate the
Trial version.
conventional method of ruling, and my method of ruling will be completely
Trial
a
version.
new method of ruling. That will be my commonwealth. So I will rule by
Trial
contrary.
version.
Make point one. Now,
Trial version.
for no kind of traffic would I admit.
Trial
Underline
version.
the word traffic and write down. I will not allow any trade
Trial
and
version.
commerce. First thing, what are the things he won't allow?
Trial version.
I will not allow any trade and commerce.
Trial version.
Tell me why. You know, if you are a king
Trial
of a
version.
country, you would want the economy of a country to grow. But this king
Trial
says
version.
that if he were the king, this imaginary king of an imaginary kingdom
Trial version.
says, I would not allow any commerce and trade in my country,
Trial
in my
version.
land. Give me the
He's
reason.
communist.
Sorry?
He's
Trial
communist.
version.
Okay, but yeah, he's communist. Okay, that's a very technical
Trial
term.
version.
But tell me the reason behind it. Why won't I allow trade and commerce?
Ma'am,
What does
Trial
trade?
version.
Yeah.
ma'am, because when the factors of trade and commerce come into an economy, it results in the
version.
class division. That is, richer people and the poorer
Trial
ones,
version.
and
Correct.
therefore it won't be a commonwealth anymore. It will have
Okay.
the class
Trial
division.
version.
Perfect. That's one. There's yet another one. What does we say?
Trial version.
Suppose a country has a rich economy. That means what is high?
Trial version.
The trade and commerce.
Profit.
Trade and commerce. That means what you have? The money,
Version.
the monetary, the fund, okay, the GDP, whatever. So that means what?
Trial
When
version.
people have more and more money, suppose you have more money, are you
Trial
satisfied?
version.
You would want more money. That means trade and commerce,
Trial version.
they inspire. This is another thing.
Trial version.
So in a perfect commonwealth, he does not want the
Trial
people to
version.
indulge in greed. There should be no greed.
Trial version.
And as Aditi also says, trade and commerce brings about two distinct class
Trial
differences,
version.
the rich and the poor. And in order to avoid that,
Trial
and as
version.
Priyanshu says, let us come back in a typical kind of a government, a
Trial
communist
version.
government where everyone has that same thing, or a socialist government also. Everyone has
Trial
equal
version.
amount of money. In that kind of a system,
Trial
in that
version.
kind of a setup, how can some people have a lot and some people won't have anything?
Trial
Remember,
version.
you're cold within. The poor man in a tatter gave his cloak
Trial
a
version.
hitch. And that's number one. So I will not allow any trade in commerce. Next,
Trial version.
no name of magistrate. Underline that, make it number
Trial
3.
version.
Underline and write, no judiciary.
Trial version.
No judiciary. Why?
Trial version. Trial version.
Think and answer.
Trial version.
I'll give you a hint. Merchant of Venice, Act 3, Scene 2,
Trial
where
version.
Bassanio was talking about appearance versus reality. A lawyer,
Trial version.
a good lawyer, however evil the whole verdict is and however
Version.
bad the whole thing is, he can distort the lie
Trial version.
and make it appear true with the virtue of his words.
Trial version.
Now think about it. Why does he say, I will not have any judiciary?
Trial
Why will
version.
he do away with that?
Trial version.
Because if he does away with the judiciary, then if a person has
Trial
suppose
version.
committed any crime or something, then everybody will
Trial
be
version.
rightly able to judge that person, and that person will not escape with whatever
Trial
crime that
version.
person has committed. People will be given equal judgment.
Trial version.
If
Any other logic?
Trial version.
Any other logic? Why won't I have
corruption?
Trial
correct?
version.
The time when Shakespeare was writing in the Elizabethan system,
Trial
he
version.
had seen the whole legal system becoming extremely corrupt. He had
Trial
himself
version.
lost his faith in the legal system. And he felt that the legal
Trial
system
version.
was lopsided. It was
Trial version.
lopsided. It was partial. Judiciary was partial.
Trial version.
Therefore, he felt that judiciary would not be able to give a proper,
version.
clear, kind of, a proper verdict. And
Trial version.
if I try to draw from the fact that there won't be any runaway by showing the
Trial
various
version.
rules of law, yes, you will try to escape. When I make law has
Trial
lot of
version.
loopholes. I think you all know. We create law, but there are also
Trial
loopholes
version.
in the law. So let there be no law. And another thing is, he is
Trial
trying to
version.
envision that my people are going to be good.
Trial
So there
version.
won't be a chance of them committing any crime. So if there is no chance of committing
Trial
any
version.
crime, why will I have a magistrate? Why will I have a judiciary?
Trial
Because
version.
my people are going to be good people. Like when initially class
Trial
11
version.
started, I thought that. How wrong I
Trial
was.
version.
How wrong I was. Because then I
Trial
was very
version.